All right, so we have this page that is listing a list of websites, and the data is coming from a controller, right? And currently, the controller is hosting the data itself, right? And that's not right, right? It needs to be instead hosted in a place where it can be shared across several controllers that might be working on the same data type, right? On the same data model. So let's refactor this to use a website service. Okay. Now we already created a service on Monday, and we implemented it using one of two acceptable ways, right? So let me just show you how we did it last time, so that we can do it the other way, the other accepted way. So last time we implemented a user service, and the way we did it is we used the factory design pattern, right? Where this allows you to create singletons or create instances of objects that you can encapsulate the logic and all the intricacies of creating an instance, and then you can instantiate that object any which way you want, right? And then return that object that can then be used elsewhere. Yes? That's one of the accepted ways. So we're going to implement it yet another way. So you can be familiar with both. They're more style than substance. Both are very popular, but you're welcome to use one or the other. So let's do that. Let's see. We have the register. Let's close that. Login. Website list controller. Okay. So let's create this website service. All right. So let's do that. Let's go into our services directory. And I'm going to copy the user service. Actually, no, because we're going to do this from scratch. Right? It's completely different. Well, almost. Let's see. We'll practice. So this will be the website service. Actually, website dot service dot client. Okay, and let's open this up. So always we're going to have everything inside of an iffy expression, unless you're using ES6, right? Then modules already supported in newer versions of JavaScript. But if we're not all the features are supported equally across all browsers, right? So I'm sticking to using my iffies. All right. All right, so in here, we're going to retrieve the module that we are working on. Yes?
So do you have to declare which version of JavaScript you're using?
No.
No? How does the browser...
It's the browser, you're using whatever Chrome version you're using, which I believe is 5.
So like when you're using Chrome, the browser,
yeah,
you can just use ES6 syntax.
Yes.
Or use EX5 syntax,
yeah, and it will know. Yep.
Automatically.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Some other language like TypeScript, right? You can also configure what you want to compile to, right? But usually they'll compile to a fairly old JavaScript version that is guaranteed to be as widely supported by a wide range of browsers, right? So it depends on depends on if you have a feature that is not particularly supported by some newer browsers, right? You can change what it compiles to. Yeah. All right, so we have Angular. Let's load our WAM module, right? And instead of factory, right, which is how we did it last time, right, we're going to use another decorator called service, right? And like the name suggests, is for declaring services, right? And these are both acceptable, right? They're both widely used, and so the syntax is similar. You give it the name of the service you want to declare, right? And here we're creating a website service implemented in a function of the same name. So up to this point, they are identical, Okay, up to this point they're identical. Here's where it changes, right? Where in a factory pattern, you instantiate an object and then you return that object. Here, the object is this is this instance. This is a constructor, and this is what is being returned to whoever is asking for this. Make sense? In both cases, you get an instance of an object that has several functions or several methods associated to that instance. Okay? Now, if you use this syntax, since this is going to be used as a constructor for that object instance, the functions need to be tied to the current instance of this class, of this constructor. Okay? So you would say, for instance, in the controller, this function over here, find all websites for a user, that is certainly something that should live in the service, right? So we're going to remove that from here, right? And we're going to move it to the website service. There it is, okay? And we're going to make it available, right? We're going to make it available to the outside world through the instance of this constructor. Make sense? Right, so somebody who asks for website service by name, they're going to get the instance of this object, which has this function associated to its instance. Make sense? Right, this is a very common pattern in JavaScript for creating functions that are publicly available outside the instance. Any other function that is not tied to this is a private function. Right? Anything that is tied to this instance, right, is publicly available from outside using a reference to that instance. Make sense? All right. Okay. So there it is. Let's keep going. Let's move this data out of here and put it where it belongs. Right. It's inside of the service itself. Okay. And notice that this website, right, is referencing that variable that is currently local. Notice that it's private. It's not accessible from anywhere from outside this function. Right? This is a private local variable. The only way we can have access to this is through the API. Only through the API can we retrieve something, put something in there, update something. It's not, an available array that somebody can come in and just, and edit it and do something with it. Right? It's now protected inside of this instance. Everybody okay? Right? And finally, right, we're going to ask for that service by name, to be injected as a dependency into this controller, right? Anyone can now ask for that service by name, which is now widely known across the entire infrastructure by this name that we have registered it. Okay, right? This is similar to other frameworks like J2EE or .NET, right? That allow you to inject or ask for resources or services by name, right? In Java, you use the annotations, right? And Spring MVC is a very popular inversion of control, kind of like injection library, right? That you can declare instances of classes, right? In an XML deployment descriptor, and then from within your source code, you can then use annotations to ask for these instances, right? And they're bound to local variables in your source code, right? So this technique allows you to decouple, right, the dependencies between who's asking for the resource and how you manage those resources, right? As opposed to the who needs the resource being responsible for creating them and instantiating them, right? Instead of being responsible for that, we're delegating that responsibility, outside, right? We're delegating it to a framework, right? And so Angular copies this same idea, right, and implements it this way. Yes? So we instantiate it, we are registering it, and now it's accessible for anybody who uses it by the exact name that we registered it. These two don't necessarily have to match, okay? But if I register it as EWQ, then that's how everywhere else it's known. Everybody okay? But I like to use the same name so that I can keep it straight in my head, right? So I know where everything maps to. Everybody okay? All right. Okay, so we have web service. Now this function is no longer here, right? So we moved it into the service. So let's access this through the service. Everybody okay? All right, so let's see if we broke something. Let's refresh, and it looks like we broke it. Let's step through the code. Let's inspect it. See if we can fix this. Console. Let's see. It says website service something. You unknown provider. Okay, so it can't find the service. Again, I probably didn't include it in my index page, right? So let's add it. Let's add it to my index page. My index page. There it is. I'm going to put all my services together. Okay. We'll put script source services / website services. Yes? Yes.
Does the place that you put the script matter?
No.
No.
No. It's resolved by the declaration of these module. They're all added to the module, right? It is the module who then resolves where these things are.
Well, I assume you have to add the anchor first.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. These three need to be in that order. All the other ones don't matter the order. Yeah. And something wrong with my head. I mean, not my head, but did I break something? I didn't finish this. Oh, thank you. All right, excellent. One thing that you might want to do is to group together scripts that go together, like and tag it by the entity that they're responsible for. So these are the controllers, and this is the service that has to do with the user, and put together all the controllers and services that go with the website. Right, so these are the controllers and services that go along, right, that manipulate this. All right, so let's try it again. Let's refresh. All right, so it's not now working again. Everybody okay? All right. All right, so let's work on now being able to either edit an existing website or create a brand new website. All right, so let's do that.